Your voice, your opinion, your community. Fact TV, free speech protected.
Hey, we're awake for this one.
And welcome to Keene, Spotlight on Keene, or Spotlight Keene. And I'm Chris Coates.
You're still Chris Coates, and I'm still Randy Filio.
And we're just here to talk about what's going on in the city and in the schools and the county, state,
country, world. Yeah.
That's just too depressing across the board.
We'll solve the entire world's problems in 60 minutes.
Yeah. So,
how was your week?
My week was busy. My week was busy.
Save the county?
Well, but I don't know if we did, but I know that we're getting close to our delegation meeting where they come in and approve the budget for 2024. So we're excited about that, and it's if they pass the current budget as it stands currently, it is a negative 0.09% decrease to the overall budget.
That's hard to do. That's kudos to you guys.
It's about a $25,000 decrease, but it's still
hard to do.
And last year we were at 0% too. And I talked to one of my colleagues in Merrimack County yesterday, and he said, "I can breathe. Our budget passed." And he's like, I said, "So where'd you guys come in at?" 7.6% increase. And then I looked at some others around the region, and 8.8. 9.9 1 year, and then the following year 8.8, and they're hoping to get it down to like a 3% this year because they're bonding next year for another project. That's one county, and then another county was 35% increase. Now there's probably reasons for it, but it wasn't because they were bonding for like a new nursing home or something like that. It was some other issues that had gone on, and to be honest with you, it's Belknap County, and Belknap County was known for having a lot of a group of individuals that got on their delegation and just wanted to X things out and really ran havoc, and now they're paying the taxpayers are paying the consequences. And you can guess, without saying it, you can guess what group of people got on there and ran havoc. But
it's either pay now or pay later. But that's kudos to you guys, because even if you were up 5 or 6%, that's basically cost of living. 5, 6, 7% is cost of living. So really, realistically to you guys, that's like a 6, 7% decrease because you didn't keep up with the cost of living. So that's a good job.
That's a good job. I mean, if you look at it over the last since 2019, we've been at about 0.5% increase. That's where we've landed about. And it's as you know. Budget process isn't a period of time; it is a year-long process. I mean, I just talked to our director of finance this morning, and I said to her, you know what? Once we're done with this on Monday, then we need to start looking at what we've done. I mean, we created it, and then start planning for next year and start thinking about how we're going to attack next year, because I can't promise you I can't promise you every year that we're going to hit those type of targets, but we're going to do everything in our power to do that. And it's what we've been fortunate with is developing other streams of revenue.
Right.
Grants, yes, and grants not to hire people, but grants to help with projects. There's a difference. A lot of people, if you bring a grant in, they think like the go-to is, remember when they had that thing, that there was a grant where you could add a police officer,
right,
to every police force kind of thing, and then all of a sudden that went away, and you had to take that on, kind of thing. And it's just like, well, it was a good reason why they did what they did, but at the end of the day, we hear what you're saying, and we're trying to balance with looking at how we can create other revenue to strengthen our fund balance, do one-time projects with some of those monies or some of the grants, so they don't hit the bottom line, for taxpayers to pay, and then it balances out at the end of the day. We think, but again, that's this year, and we've had a good track record. But at some point, there will be some level of increase that's more than what the norm is, but we're trying to be as fiscally frugal or responsible, I should say, with still maintaining the level of care, and that's the other secret. I mean, the city's the same, no different. There's a balance between level of service, paying staff so that they stay here,
Yep.
and attracting others in. And the market, we used to have a system when it came to, paying people, but to be honest with you, the market has dictated a lot of that. Because if you didn't keep up with all these other the craziness of the Walmarts and everything during COVID, and then even after that, it's you're still trying to figure it all out, and it's the marketplace has dictated a lot of how we move forward. And as you know, 80 to 85% of any budget developed is salary, wages,
Right.
and we are by statute driven to do certain programming. And so we have to ensure that's
what a lot of people don't realize, that year to year, budget to budget, 85 to 90% of it's set in stone anyhow.
Yeah.
It's like, what do you do with the other
your
10,
healthcare
12%?
costs and
Yeah.
your salaries and
Yep.
wages.
Yeah, you have things, mandates, a lot of mandates, especially like being on a school board, which you were for a long time. Most of it's mandated, and unfunded mandate also, and that's one of the problems.
Well, I mean, if you look
coming
at
down
the
from state
federal, if you look at
legislature.
but if you look at the federal government and you look at special ed costs, you start there, and they promised that they would be paying, special ed costs at a certain percentage. They're not. They've never done that,
Nope.
and then you go down to the state level and you look at some of the things that they're supposed to be paying at that level. They've never come close to doing that. And then you look on the city side and you look at, yes, was there a bump up in room and meals? Yeah, there was. You guys got, maybe an added $400,000 to $600,000 more than what you had been in the past.
Still,
but is that
yeah,
a true?
still short.
Is that a true reflection of what you should be getting? No, it's not. It's great. Everybody's always like, it's like one of those things. It's great, but it's still not where it's supposed to be. And at what point, do you stop putting the pressure on the citizens and start doing, the local taxpayers? Because I don't know if sometimes it's easy to say the county's spending is out of control, the city's spending out of control, the school's spending is out of control, when in reality, the process that you all go through, and you have two of those, and I've been involved in all three of them, is lengthy, and how you move forward. And,
But budgets aren't created like in a weekend.
And
like you said, it's a year.
And
it starts the day after you do the budget. It starts all over again.
And here's the thing that's interesting to me, like with the school budget or any budget. If it's local, you have people, even though it's nonpartisan, you have people that are different, come from different, political beliefs, financial beliefs, whatever it may be, coming together, working as one, whether it's on the school, wherever. When I was chair of the school board, my vice chair was Ann Zott, who was very conservative in around how she looked at things. Carl Panza was my chair of the finance committee, who actually put out a mailer when I was running for school board not to vote for me, Kathy O'Donnell, and somebody else. I can't remember who, probably Chris Roberts, who knows. And that's because we weren't fiscally responsible, blah blah blah. And he was the chair of the finance. We all worked together, and we worked well, because at the end of the day, it's about the nursing home. It's about the police department, the fire department, the city streets. It's about local stuff that affect each one of us, and so it's really interesting over the years as I watched the process. It's just so easy to say something and not really understand it.
Yep. Well, you look at today,
and that's what this world's all about now.
As we're talking today, and as people are watching this, it'll probably be yesterday or a few days ago. Today people are showing up to the rec center to vote on the school budget. And this, we're sitting for about 24,000 now, about 15,000 registered voters. What's going to be 1%, 2%, 3% are going to show up.
Mm-hmm.
I know I voted first thing this morning, and it's just empty rec center.
Yeah.
I mean, forget about a line. There was like nobody there. We were the only two voters there at the time. We got there early. And probably by the end of the day, is probably going to be about a 3% turnout.
And
now, the other 97% are going to complain about it,
Yeah.
but only 3% are going to probably turn out.
You know,
Crazy.
and I wish there was actually 4 openings on the school board. I listened to the interviews that Kathy O'Donnell did this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
All thoughtful, all very on the mark individuals. Yep. You know, some of them have clearly experience when you're the chair of and you've been on the school board. I get that, but you also have other people that have different experiences bringing those. And I'll tell you, any one of those 4 are going to be, or any one of those 3, any 3
out of the 4,
any 3 of the 4,
yeah,
are going to be, I think, a great addition to the school board. And I hope that whoever gets left out doesn't see that as anything more than that there was just 4 great candidates with only 3 spaces and runs again.
And also, you're right. All 4 of them are good. It's not gonna be like a bad person's gonna get on school board.
Yeah.
That's not the case. The troubling part of it is only about 2 to 3% of the city is gonna vote for them.
Yeah.
So if you're a school board member, and I know when my son ran for school board, he went out, he door to door. I mean, he worked it. And if any of these 4 have gone door to door and worked it, that's all it takes.
Yeah.
Because we're only getting about 3% to turn out. People see the effort when you go door to door.
Yeah.
Kind of like back in your young days before you were an unknown, Chris, which was many, 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 many years ago. Mm-hmm. Before you got all the press that you're getting.
Yeah.
At one point you actually had to go door to door.
Mm-hmm.
When I first ran for council,
I loved it, and I will tell anybody that goes door to door, don't go door to door if you're looking for conversations at every door. Go with a card. Either knock on the door if somebody comes and I just want to give you this card, and if you have any questions, I'm here. But then you move on, because I think people really appreciated it. They don't want it. Some people didn't want to get caught up, but they appreciated giving a card so they remembered you and they had something to read.
A lot of them would say that. I'll just take your information, thank you.
Yeah,
and that's all you said.
Or you just leave it in the door, and then because nobody's home or whatever. But
the only way to get to a lot of doors is you can't spend.
I think I lost weight during that time because I was walking.
Well, and Chris, in today's day and age, because you're so supportive of our local eateries, the weight that goes on you means you're supporting Keene. Let's look at it that way.
Yeah, there you go.
When you're skinny, you're going door to door. A couple of pounds on, it's like supporting the Keene restaurants.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of them.
Yeah.
And as we've talked about in previous shows, a few new ones opening.
Yeah.
And Chris will be there.
Yeah, I'll tell you, we have my wife's niece is staying with us, has been living with us. She's working locally and needed a place to stay, and we have extra beds, and so she and her cat moved in with us, and it's been a great experience. Coming home, she's a great cook.
Uh-oh.
And coming home, and and she'll cook like 2 to 3 days a week, nights a week. She'll cook dinner. And it's just and it's healthy. It's like stuff that we wouldn't take.
Like vegetables, Chris?
Vegetables.
Oh,
like
my
last
God.
night I had these sauteed carrots and chicken thighs and with some stuff, mushrooms on it and stuff. And it's like, Lord, this is good.
Carrots are edible? Huh.
Yeah, they are.
Wow. Didn't know that.
They're edibles.
I've heard about them.
They're edibles.
Jeez.
So, but the and exciting to see that somebody. I mean, she came from the seacoast. And lived over there.
Good thing, since the seacoast gets flooded out every weekend.
Well, yeah, did you see that? That's crazy. But it's also the cost of living over there is crazy.
Oh God, yes.
It's crazy.
I think it's bad here.
And it's even crazier over there.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's nice to have that going on. But a young person's perspective on things, it's nice to see too. So I'm not just thinking I'm crazy with what I'm thinking, and sometimes.
Well,
But
you don't go there.
No, but I think it's all good. So people can vote. They can vote at the rec center. They can vote until what time?
It's going to be till 7 o'clock tonight. Of course, like I said, most people that are watching the show are a massive audience out there.
Yeah.
They'll be seeing this after the fact. My concern isn't so much who they elect to school board, because like you said, any 3 out of the 4, we're going to be fine.
Yeah.
We're not like some towns where they snuck in some, extremist free stater, burned down the bridges.
Croydon,
yeah. My concern is going to be the budget, that enough voters vote no when it puts it into the default budget, and that concerns me. Like we mentioned before on previous shows, the the voters that showed up to the the hearing at the high school, only about 80 people showed up, and AT out of 15,000 registered voters, and out of them about 60 voted to add $500,000. That part concerns me. It could have been, and it was not, and school board didn't favor that addition of money, so we didn't feel that it was needed, but that's how the process works. My concern is, and we'll know after the show, if the voters move to go to the default budget, not only do we lose that $500,000, as we've said before, now we got to go find another $800,000. That's my concern.
Mm-hmm.
Some meat would get cut out of there, so something that we can't afford to cut. So I'm hoping that the budget passes a little higher than I'd like to see. But, the other side of things is we'd have to cut some monies that are really needed in the budget. So we'll see. But I mean, like we've said, when 2 to 3% of the population show up of registered voters, who knows?
Yeah.
It'll be the other 98% complaining.
Yeah.
That's just the way it goes.
So, a week ago you had your first Keene downtown infrastructure gathering. What'd you call that? Like a
gathering.
Yeah.
Workshop gathering.
Did people show up?
There was 2 showings. One was at 3 in the afternoon. The other one's at 5:30. Surprisingly, the 3 o'clock showing was very well attended. The 5:30 one, not so much. It had some people, but so I would say okay attended. I'd like to see more people show up.
Can I ask, on a weekday at 3 and 5:30, why not like at 7 when people can get home, or 6:30 when people can get home? I mean, people have to leave work to come to it, or people are getting out of work, haven't had, may have to get home to get, bring their kids home, whatever. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's a good question. There's 2 more of those scheduled. One a month. One April 3rd and one May 1st on a Wednesday. I'll check into that, Chris. Maybe instead of 5:30 to 7, maybe 6:30 to 8.
Yeah.
But I mean, it went till 7.
Just to allow people to
a little more time.
A little bit more time, I think would be nice.
Yeah, I think you're right. I'll check on that. See if we can either instead of 5:30, move it to 6:30, or instead of ending at 7, maybe ending at 8.
Yeah.
Have it a while longer. Because initially, when you get there's a little bit of a presentation, but for the most part of it, it's just a walk around. There's 4 different stations. They'll talk to you about different parts of the structure. One station was just trees, because so many people have talked about trees. So they show you where the trees are going, what type of trees they are.
Yeah.
One showed bike paths.
Is the middle parking going away?
Yes. Now look, I'll be honest with you.
How do you make up the parking if you lose all that parking? Where's it?
Well, a lot of it,
in their theory, how do you make up that parking?
A lot of it was because some of the granite cutouts downtown, and there was a lot of them, have been eliminated, so it added more parking spaces. So there's a longer stretch of parking downtown.
So our crossing the street crosswalks are a little bit longer now. Because a lot of those are because you have crosswalks that go out a little bit so people can see them.
They won't, some of the areas, they actually won't be longer because the sidewalks are going to come out. And, of course, the middle parking is going to be eliminated. So you can bring the sidewalks out farther. You see what I'm saying?
No, I get it, yeah.
Up there, but if you think about it, it's a lot wider. So the streetscape's going to be narrowed a little bit, especially where the center parking was. It's going to be, the sidewalk's going to be brought out.
See, and I guess I'm going to have to go to
people need to show up.
Yeah, but I think I'm just thinking about this. One of the things that it does by bringing those out, like on Roxbury Street by Moe's, you know how it goes out right there? You park in, you come out here, you're out beyond where that truck is, sight view. If they take that and make that into a parking space, that's maybe one parking space. Now you have a car there, you're here. It's just...
Well, I think one thing you're going to see is there's going to be elimination. There's not going to be quite so many crosswalks. Right now, there's a bunch of them going down Main Street. Mm-hmm. I think at least one of them gets eliminated, which will actually add like 6 more parking spaces when you think about how much room that takes on either side. So the parking space wise, it's going to be pretty close to made up, but I've been pretty vocal from the beginning. I like downtown the way it is for the most part. I thought we could have done it with more minimal changes. I still don't favor the bike lanes. I don't think they're needed for 2 blocks of downtown. I think the percentage of square footage that it takes up.
Are you guys doing it because there's grant money behind it?
Well, that's
do you have a better chance of getting monies to offset if you add the bike lanes?
That depends who you talk to. It really is. That depends.
I don't know. I'm not saying that to be. I'm just saying.
No, I know. I hear that.
In my head, I'm trying to figure out why
I've
the bike
heard that.
things are so hard. I mean,
I honestly, my opinion is.
How many years has it been without bike paths?
My opinion is the only reason that the bike lanes are even included because a small minority were allowed. That's my honest opinion about it. I don't think they're needed. As I've said before, you have the bike path coming in from Gilboa Ave and Railroad Street. You can bring your bike to within 1 block of any restaurant or store downtown. 1 block.
Yeah.
Park it and walk it. I think the square footage that the bike lanes take up is needless. I'm still of that opinion. At this point, I'm in the minority. Some that were agreeing with me liked this is kind of like the compromise plan downtown. If you remember, the original plan eliminated basically Central Square. It was going to be all green space. So, that's gone back to, a couple. The traffic going around the commons being narrowed a little bit because the sidewalks are going to come out a little bit farther. That part, I'm fine. I just don't think the bike path is needed. I think it'd be better served, wider sidewalks, a little bit more space for tables and chairs. I just don't think the bike paths are needed downtown at all. You can get within 1 block of any restaurant or eater or retail shop. What more do you need? Park your bike, lock it up, walk 1 block. I think the minority was loud. They got the attention of a majority of councilors. It's not a done deal yet. I mean, no matter what anybody says, it's not a done deal yet. But with that said, it's the bike lanes seem to have this compromise plan. Seem to have a majority. There's still, and that's one of the reasons we're having these meetings at the rec center. There's still a room for changes, and that's why we're having these, folks. You've got to show up. You've got to show up and make concerns of what you like or what you don't like.
Can somebody see what they're doing there online?
Yes, you can go to the City of Keene website, and it's right on the main page. It'll say Keene Downtown Infrastructure Project, and you can click on it.
And what if this project is now $16 million? Because that's what I've heard.
Right.
And that's what the paper reported.
Yeah, that's fairly accurate.
Then what are you trying to get coverage-wise with grants?
I like the whole damn thing covered, to be honest with you. That's not going to happen. There's a lot of different grants out there.
Yeah, there's a raise grant.
But,
there's another big,
I mean, it all depends. Do you get them or not? I mean, you can apply for as many grants as you want. Doesn't mean you're going to get them.
Yeah.
So, but it's funny. The infrastructure part of it down below is really where the majority of the monies are going. The pipes and the electrical and tearing it up, putting it back together.
Remember about 15 years ago when we dug up Main Street?
Mm-hmm. They didn't do anything underground.
What the hell did they do?
I wasn't there.
I mean,
it was more of a streetscape more than anything else. It was more.
But they dug up the street, though. I remember them. It was dirt.
They tore up all the pavement and they repaved.
It's like I can't believe that they didn't back then.
They were penny wise and pound foolish back then. They should have
Because all I thought we still had to do was just the roundabout. That's all I thought. In my mind, that's the only thing that we hadn't really torn up yet. And now it's like
right. Well, so a couple of the concerns I have is one, the bike paths, and we discussed that tomorrow night at MSFI. The findings that came out of the workshop go to MSFI tomorrow night. We start a half hour early at 5:30, and we'll be discussing what people said and trying to make some tweaks.
Now, if community goes, can they speak up?
Oh, absolutely.
It's a working meeting.
Absolutely, yeah. MSFI committee meeting. Councilor Greenwell's the chair. I'm the vice chair. Absolutely, we always want people to speak up, and not just the special interest groups who always show up. Mm-hmm. We just need average John Q, Mary Q voter. Just show up. It's not that intimidating. I mean, there's just 5 of us on the committee. Nobody's going to criticize. You just show up and speak. And a lot of people don't, especially in today's day and age of volatile politics. People don't like to show up. This one's pretty easy. You can speak for 10 seconds. You say, I favor this or I don't favor that, and that's it, and just sit back down.
If this is 16 million, anywhere between 10 and 12 million is the infrastructure.
Yeah, most of it's the infrastructure. Then it's the putting it back together. You know, you got your street lights.
Well, we did. I mean, what is fascinating to me is that they did put there is no telephone poles down in that area.
Right.
So they did put stuff underground.
There's some electrical that was put underground, but water and sewer and piping.
Why the hell, if they were there, why didn't they do it?
Yeah,
that blows my mind.
That's always an argument. Like, if we're going to do it, you make sure you tell, which back then used to be Keene Gas.
Yeah.
You tell your utility companies.
Keene Gas was part of that conversation.
Yeah, you tell your utility companies, if you got any future plans, now's the time to do it. Don't come back a month after we pave downtown and say, you got to put a pipe underground.
Yeah.
So that's all part of it too. But
has anybody checked about those plans and looked at those plans to see if the work actually? I mean, I can't.
Well, what you find out, Chris, as you know. I mean, that was back in the '80s.
This was in the late 1990s.
I think
Ted was in place.
I think downtowns was the '80s, if I remember the last.
80s was that. But we did some paving and ripping up of paving in the late 1990s, early 2000s.
Yeah, that might have been just paving.
That's when they did all the telephone poles and everything like that.
I'll have to go back and research all the history.
You should, because it may be that you can.
Yeah, we'll check.
It's just I can't.
Well, and that's one of the things we're trying to do now is make sure we don't do this again for another 50, 60 years, of any type of underground. Same thing with burying enough electrical current or wires for future electric cars. Mm-hmm. Even though that might be delayed a little bit, you got to be ready. You've got to have, and even if you don't have the wires down there, you got to bury some conduits so you can fish some wires down Main Street. Same thing next week on April 3rd, as we continue the public forums at the Rec Center. It's going to be Gilboa Ave and Railroad Square is what's going to be discussed mainly at the next one. We'll probably have the other designs out too, but Gilboa Ave, Railroad Square is going to be made. What is some of the future developments of those two properties? Railroad Square, as you know, because you were on the council, we've really developed that over the years, which used to be an abandoned, train yard with,
It was a dirt parking space.
Parking space.
A free dirt parking space.
Right.
And like I told you the other day,
there were trains on there at one point.
The best thing that we've done, that the city has done, and what John McLean and others at the time, Jack Dugan, we have built a depth city. Instead of a one street city. Main Street, boom, everything behind it's nothing.
Right.
And that's what we used to have back there. You didn't have anything back there, and now you have all kinds of properties on Railroad. Look at Roxbury Street and the rebirth of Roxbury Street. I mean, it's fantastic.
Emerald Street.
Cypress Street, that area is full. I think our work that needs to be done is, and it's already started on some levels, is the Emerald, what is it, Gilboa Ave, that whole area,
Street, that whole square,
that whole area. I mean, you've got Brew Bakers, you got, you've
Fire
got
Dog Breads,
you got the bookstore, you've got a Toadstool and all that. So you've started some of that process. The Colonial has helped a lot with that, with what they've done with both facilities.
Colonial Theaters are anchor for downtown.
But behind it is this big open space that now with Main Street America, or NGM as we know it,
right,
is got that property out there.
That's the key.
That's what are they going to do? Can somebody build something onto that? And didn't
Chabot Oil has a good chunk out there too, as well as Main Street America.
Who owns the skate park?
Right now,
Gale?
It's a private investor.
Is it Gale?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, he's one of them. There's a couple others involved.
Because I thought they were going to put a brewery back there.
The original plan was when they bought the skate park, and then they originally owned. They were buying land where Findings was.
Right.
Okay, where the skate park is now going to go. We owned the skate park downtown.
Yeah.
It was more of a land swap.
Right.
There was a few bucks involved, but it was more of a land swap. And now we own, we're finding is, which by the way, we got a grant to tear down that building. We didn't have enough money. People are wondering when the skate park's happening. We got increased grant money to tear down the building. So that's going to happen. That's where the skate park's going to go.
No, and if you talk to the skate park guys, the skate park got that money. Well, and I would say no. Andy Bohannon wrote the grant,
Right.
so he got the money. But they're they got it because they.
Well, when I say we,
I know, but
it's
they
everybody.
get people get
Oh, territorial?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, well, Andy Bohannon, who is the Parks and Rec director, who's working with the skate park, I mean, he is a grant writer. And I'll give him all the credit,
Well, he's a vision builder in my world.
He got promoted.
Because he
got promoted.
He did?
Yeah.
What to?
Assistant city manager.
Is he now?
Yeah.
Well, good.
As of April 1st.
So who else is assistant city manager?
Having a brain cramp.
Because at one point,
Our IT director. God, I'm having a brain cramp.
Rebecca Landry.
Rebecca's the other one. So there's going to be two.
Is the HR person? I thought she
No,
was it.
there's only going to be two. They're going to be the two.
Okay.
They're going to be the two, assistant or associate or
Yeah.
I forget the exact. And so at some point we're going to need another Parks and Rec director because Andy's going to be up here.
So what's he going to be doing?
But he's going to oversee all the facilities too.
Yeah.
And he'll still be overseeing Parks and Rec. He'll be overseeing all of that.
Yeah.
But he'll be more, instead of at the rec center, he's pretty much going to be at City Hall. But he's going to be a phenomenal.
Because he in the budget world when it comes to the city.
Sorry, Rebecca, I forgot your name for a second.
In the budget world that is the city, the low-hanging fruit always has been and always probably will be, is the parks and recs and facilities and.
Well, you oversee the the rec center anyhow because you live across the street.
Yeah, I know, but
you keep an eye on it.
Yeah, but for years they, if we needed to make some cuts, that's where it came from because you can't cut police, you can't cut fire, you can't cut. Public works. You need all that stuff.
Yeah, I was telling you more. It was like project delays.
Or project delay, but project delay turned into years.
Yep.
And what I think Andy doesn't get a lot of enough credit for is that he's been able to find ways to get projects done, and by going out and getting grants to bring in or saving up for over a period of time and having a vision. I mean, it's just congressional spending crest, whatever it is that they've done. Andy's done a really good job of being able to find that, and so I applaud. And he's a Keene kid.
Yep.
And that's what I like.
I like having local people.
He doesn't come from the right Boy Scout troop, but I'm not going to hold that against him. I mean, 302 by far is the best.
You're a local guy, and I'm a local guy. It's like I'm on the school board, and there's good members. There's some that aren't originally from Keene, but you and I walk the halls of Keene High. Mm-hmm. Some will admit to, some will deny, but we walk. We walk the corridor. So when I go to school board meetings, most of those halls I walk down to. Some are new halls, so like the auditorium wasn't there when I was there, but
that's the cafeteria, right? The auditorium was the
cafeteria.
The auditorium is where the cafeteria.
Cafeteria is now where the girls' gym was.
I know, but
when you and I were there.
But the auditorium was where the cafeteria was.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And then I think the library used to be an open outdoor space.
Yeah, and that was back in the day, just for everybody. You had a girls' gym and a boys' gym, and then we had a certain gym outfit we had to wear.
Oh yeah.
Black trunks or shorts.
White T-shirt.
And with the orange label Keene on it, Keene High, and then white shirts.
Yep. Back in the day.
And that was interesting.
It's funny. All the time I've been to Keene High, one thing I hadn't been to was the new gym on the second floor above the basketball gym. All the times I've been out to high school.
Oh, you've never been up there?
I hadn't been. I go to the meetings, which are, on the first floor. And I've walked most of the high school, but I hadn't gone up to that gym until this year when that's where the wrestling team wrestles. Mm-hmm. So I actually went up to it and I'm like, this is what I've been missing. Nice gym.
It's a nice gym.
gym.
It's also it's utilized. All the gyms are used for the Special Olympics, but I've watched multiple games up there.
Yep.
And they also have their what do they have now? Their unified team.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nice addition, but going all the way back again to downtown Keene. So a private developer owns where the skate park is downtown now. The original intent when they did that, when they bought it a few years ago, they were going to build a building. At least that's what they had said. No finalized plans. There was going to be like a brewery on the first floor, and then apartments like 3 floors above it. And then different things happened. Inflation hit. Now it's coming back down. So I don't know. They haven't made any formalized plans yet. But that was their plan.
Can somebody just go down there? First of all, I'd love to see the fence come down at some point.
Yeah.
But there's so much trash inside that area. If somebody could just ask them to, work on doing something about that, that would be great.
Yeah. I know people talk about that. So it's not city owned anymore, but it's still border city property.
Right.
And then you have.
It's sort of like the property you guys have the roundabout out by McDonald's and the one by Island Street. That one.
Right.
Those houses right there. I mean, they're just just stuffed outside the house.
I know.
I just wish that.
I know.
And
the ones beside McDonald's, those two.
I mean, you guys have really done a great job of. I mean, I cannot for the life of me understand why there has to be 600 signs saying this is a crosswalk. I mean, it just. I mean, you just do a beautiful thing like that, and you just kill it.
I know. There's always been the argument. There's too many signs in Keene, and I agree. Back when you and I went to school, Chris, when we used to walk uphill both ways in snow, Chris and I were talking
that's
about
when they had snow.
Well, that's true. Now it's just rain. But when you get out of school, and who is your safety guards? Fifth graders.
Yeah.
Not adults with big signs.
Or even 6th graders, because Lincoln went to 6th grade.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
I don't know. That was, to me, that was in the south end. I was a north ender.
I'm on the east side.
Now you border.
I was always east side, man.
Oh, you're
I was on the corner of Church and Valley.
Yeah, you were in the other rowdy neighborhood.
Yeah.
Where you went,
That's where I grew up.
You went to
Carpenter Street was my field, and it's nothing. It was nothing like that. And the school owned it back in the day, and they hardly ever mowed it, so we would have to mow it. And there was, enough for a good baseball field out there, and the muster team practicing down there on certain days. But otherwise, that field was not taken care of at all.
Yep. Yeah, we used to remember playing neighborhood football in the Roosevelt School field. Tackle as youngsters with no equipment.
Oh, all the time.
How on earth, everything's still attached? Because Chris, those neighborhood tackle football games, you weren't down till the whole team was on top of you.
Yeah.
Just because your knee hit didn't mean you were tackled.
Yeah.
So anyhow, the downtown project there, combining the two. Hopefully the private developer jumps on board, and hopefully, Shabbat Oil, they own a good chunk of that land down there. Mm-hmm. And then the insurance company owns a lot.
What does Shabbat Oil use it for right now? I mean, because
I think they still use it for some storage, but not much.
They don't put like the coal or anything there?
I don't know if they still have, I don't think they do. I've always said if that thing ever caught on fire, man,
it would go. That
thing would go. But Gilboa Ave is the most underutilized square footage in Keene. When you look at all the way down to the Colony Mill, that whole stretch, and of course Gilboa Ave, width-wise, is literally almost like a 6-lane road width-wise.
Yeah.
I mean, you can bring that much narrower. So, but that's once again April 3rd. We'll be discussing it and potential future plans for it, and if we can get people to sell some property, and nobody wants to sell cheap, but where the as you read in the paper, where Main Street America, the insurance company now, everybody works from home. They don't need that parking lot. Mm-hmm. But everybody holds out for top dollar, especially when they know the city wants something. Mm-hmm. So we'll see, but that'll be discussed next week, next month, April 3rd.
But I also think that, wasn't it promised to the Keene State College? Weren't they going to build a field house down there
originally?
And so who has first dibs on it? Is it the college still?
Yeah, the college
does the college have to give up its right and notify Main Street that they don't want it to see? I mean,
yeah, I think they've been pretty clear.
And the other thing is, could somebody come in and, now that they know it's for sale, could somebody come in and say, we're going to buy it and we're going to build something? Sure.
I mean, whoever shows up with the money. They could.
Yeah.
And hopefully somebody would, build a good development there. But, of course, when the college was looking at it, that's when Jay Kahn was vice president there.
Yeah.
Now he's not there anymore. Now he's the mayor.
Yeah.
So one advantage we do have is Jay
he doesn't want to give up that property. That's all. He was college. He had it, and now he's saying, "I'm not."
Now he's a city. Now we want it.
Yeah.
The college doesn't want it now. That was back when the college had 5,000 students and they were growing like weeds. and they've tapered back a little bit, and smartly so.
Yeah.
They've done a good job.
Hey, can I just do some quick numbers here? Number crunch.
Oh, here we go. The numbers nobody's going to listen to, but go ahead.
It's okay. On this one, I think you will. 1 million.
Okay.
1 million.
Yeah, 1 million. That's less dollars than I have.
So much cheesy goodness. Mr. Mac's, the Manchester restaurant that specializes in mac and cheese, hit more than 1 million orders since opening its doors in the fall of 2010. It has shipped to hundreds of people, some as far away as Seattle, Los Angeles, Denver, and Miami. And the source of that, of course, is Mr. Mac. And I'll tell you,
Chris talking about food.
I've had that mac and cheese before, and it is actually really good. They have a really good little thing going on there. So good for them.
That's one of those things where if you get a portion, it's never big enough.
Yeah,
because you want more.
And then one other number, and then I'll hold off, and we can do some more later on. $55,482. That is the average annual salary New Hampshire college grads earn 4 years after leaving college, making New Hampshire the state with the 8th highest earning college grads. That's good.
Yep. That's good.
Dartmouth college grads were the biggest earners with an average annual salary of $90,893. And the source, Degree Choices examination of 2022 data gathered on over 5,500 institutions that predominantly offer 4-year degree.
Well, it's good because once you get out of college, you're $500,000 in debt anyhow just from tuition.
I'll tell you, my niece is in school too. At the same time, she's a para, and working in the school systems and doing really good, and they love her. And she in May will earn her associate's degree, and they keep giving her money. I mean, because she's a good student.
What school?
She's been at Granite State College, which is, and she's getting her associates there, and then she's enrolled already at UNH to finish up her degree in teaching and special ed in that area. And so good for her. But I mean, she, first of all, she works in a school district. They offer her, if she gets a certain grade, she can get money there.
Right.
There's also, they're giving her grants. She's going to come out of this probably with very little debt. So when we say that, yeah, there are some institutions, especially when it's private,
right,
or Yale, Harvard, some of the smaller schools like that are, yeah, you're paying anywhere between $100,000 to, or let's say below $60,000 to $100,000 a year,
yeah,
which is utterly crazy.
It is.
I don't care what anybody says.
Cash cow.
Just it's not realistic, and we're only hurting ourselves as a country if we don't address this issue around college, whether it's a 2-year, 4-year, tech, whatever. That's our future, and we have to be looking at all those and seeing how we can best get them through that process. And I think it's a combination of everybody looking at it, a lot of stakeholders at the table, and the colleges have to be at that table because they're pricing themselves right out of it too.
Yeah.
And I get some of these colleges have the endowment that brings that number down somewhat, but it's still, at the end of the day, you're still paying a lot to go, and it's a balancing act. And
a lot of kids get out of college now, they go back to their parents' basement.
And it becomes even more competitive. I think Keene State, for whatever the reasons, Keene State's gone through the transition of the downsides of student population. It was going to happen anyways because it's happening nationally.
Yep.
I read a study where they're looking at 26% less students attending college for multiple reasons. The biggest one, the number one reason, birth rate. Second one is kids are deciding to look at other opportunities. It's whereas when I went to school, it was either go into the service or go to college.
Yep.
And it wasn't 2 years; it was 4 years or go into the service. Really, it wasn't. You didn't talk about going into the workforce. I mean, you have a candidate who's running for school board right now who graduated from Keene High School and went into the workforce. And because of his work ethic, has been able to go up through his company, and really, he's now a regional manager that goes around and helps, whatever he does. I mean, it's just a great story of somebody choosing. I really don't want to do that. And his dad's a college professor. And I think it's great on both parts that they allow individuals to figure out what they want to do. And I think I think that you as a school board member, we need to continue to open the opportunity up for students. I have a senior out there that is a niece at Keene High School. She is in the top 10 to 15 students. I want to say she's in the top 10. She's already gotten enough credits to graduate, but she's having to take extra classes. Why? Get her into the workforce. Let her earn some money before she goes to college. If she wants to leave early, why? If she's done the appropriate number of classes, I don't understand why somebody has to take other classes just because you'd be considered a part-time student. If that's a legislative change that has to occur.
Yes, it is legislative. When my son, and it's changed since when my son went to school, Sean had like one class his senior year because he had already exceeded all his credits. By the time he was a junior,
that's what I'm saying.
He had enough credits to graduate. So he took I forget which class he took at Keene High, and then he went to Keene State. Yeah. He was taking classes at Keene State while he was technically a senior.
Yeah, but I know this is what I was told this weekend, and I'm like, that doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
She shouldn't have to, in my day, I had to go right until the 11th hour to make sure I had enough credits.
Oh, I know. I remember that one. And when I was getting out of
on your part, you remember. You don't remember mine.
Oh, I knew it was probably pretty close, Chris. Yeah, I was the same way. It was kind of like April of my graduation year, and I'm like, do I have enough credits here?
Yeah.
I'm getting a little late here. Yeah. But for me, I was the same way. It's like, am I going to go to college or am I going in the military? And, I looked at my father. He goes, you got any money? Yeah. And I'm like, okay, Uncle Sam it is.
Yeah. Thank you, Charlie Burns, one of the best principals.
You and I were there with Charlie Burns, and I remember him saying that he was
a fighter for the students.
He was a principal that walked the aisles, and I remember I went in the military shortly after high school graduation, came back to Keene High with my uniform on. Charlie Burns was so proud. Mm-hmm. He was more happy than I was, I think.
Yeah.
And military man, and Yeah, it was a great school, but most things now, and the people talk about how much it cost. They say, well, the school budget now compared to when I was in school, if you see the requirements now that the state sets for schools, and
public schools,
schools, it happens weekly up in Concord. Weekly. I mean, that's no lie. They pass bills weekly. When we go at school board meetings, we have a policy committee, which I'm not on this year. I was last time. That committee meets once a month. They have to go over the changes monthly that's sent down from Concord. It's that erratic that they send down new policies. And you know what? Most of them are unfunded mandates because none of them are free. Mm-hmm. You've got to do this. You've got to do this. You've got to do this. Where do we get the money from? Oh, that's local control. No, that's local funding. That isn't local control.
Yeah.
The control's up in Concord, so that's where most of the increases come from. Mandates.
You know how petty this commissioner of education is?
Oh, he is.
The superintendent of the year this year. Now we've been fortunate in this region. I don't know if people understand this, but Lisa Witt, who was at Monadnock, she was named superintendent of the year, and more recently this year, Kimberly Saunders over in Conville School District was named superintendent of the year.
Yep.
And then was named one of the 3 or 4 finalists for the national superintendent of the year.
Yep.
She didn't end up receiving the top honor. She was, I think, number 2.
Well, when you're like number 2 in the country, I mean,
but the commissioner has never taken the time to recognize her.
This commissioner, this governor,
I think it's because the Conville School Board sued the state of New Hampshire. But you know what? If you've got a quality staff person leading, then she should be recognized for that work. And Lisa Witt, if she wasn't recognized, should have been recognized for their leadership in public education.
I mean, how the governor had this guy as head of education, he's a free stater. I mean, literally, they would eliminate public schools if they could. And that's no exaggeration. They would just eliminate public schools and They say, well, go to religious or charter schools. It's like they are so anti-public school. Everything they come out with is anti-public school. It's incredible that they would do that. And, when it comes to, an adequate education and funding, they fight it tooth and nail, but yet they'll send millions to private schools. Don't worry about income. You're rich and you want to go to a private school? Here, have some more taxpayer dollars. Crazy. I heard Donovan Fenton on the radio this morning a little bit, and he's right. He goes, I think New Hampshire public funding of education is still dead last in the country. It is. It's dead last times two. And I've said this often, that if the state of New Hampshire doubles the money they send to the schools, we'd still be last.
Last, right.
That's how far last we were. Alabama, Arkansas, they laugh at us. We're so far below them.
Here's the crazy thing. We have some of the highest, whether people believe it or not, just look at the scores. We have some of the best scores coming out for our students. Now, some will say there's more work to be done. And, well, of course there's more work. There's always going to be more work to be done.
Oh, yeah.
But compared to some of these other states, New Hampshire's education is here. Their funding is here. It's so the norm of the state of New Hampshire. Our funding for our nursing homes, actually, let's start the other way. New Hampshire leads, is in the top 3 for care and least deficiencies when the state comes through for inspections.
Yep.
Okay? So out of the country. I know. Our funding, here.
And we talk about this all the time. And the state says,
and
the state keeps using that excuse, we want to give you local control. BS.
They just what was it?
We don't have local control.
Just the other day, there was a bill that they were looking at, and I thought, how can you talk about local control? Because all local control is, there is no real meaning behind local control. It's just a political phrase.
Yeah, it's just a line. It's just a statement. Because then a woman would have the right to choose. A woman would have, all this, you wanted to, but there was some bill. What was it? I can't remember. I was thinking to myself, wow, they're going to say that we don't have the choice in doing that any longer? And it was something, and I can't, it's going to drive me nuts now because it was, all right, keep talking because I'll think of it in a second. Say something. I don't know. I don't remember which one it was.
But that's where we're at. I think the thing is get out and vote. When you have an opportunity to vote. I don't care what you say. My vote doesn't count. It does count. It does count.
It absolutely does.
When a national election is determined by, when Hillary Clinton ran 49,000 votes.
Yep.
When you win the state of Georgia by 12,000 votes, or Arizona by 22,000 votes, or whatever it may be, your vote counts.
Yep.
Take the time to get out there and vote, and whether you vote for something or not, or reach out to those people that are going down a road of leadership, and say to them that this is what your thoughts are.
Yep.
And it can be. I ran into an individual today who just.
Chris, you got to keep talking. I have to go to the bathroom.
All right.
You keep talking. I've held this for long enough. Talk for 3 more minutes. I'll be right back.
On the air. Unbelievable. 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 So, no, I had an individual today come up to me and talk to me in reference to how we, the work that we're doing in the county, and it was really appreciative. I was at a breakfast hosted by the Monadnock Collaborative, and we had probably about 35 people there, I would think, and it was great. At the end of the meeting, the person came over to me and talked to me and some other people, and it was nice to hear that we're on the right track, doing some good things, and it means a lot to us when. But at the same time, if there is a concern, we should know about that too. So that's where we're at, and if I'm going to do, now I'm talking.
No, do not have 32 ounces of coffee right before you come on the air. Oh, look at that! I did it in a minute. Wow, that's pretty good. What are you talking about, Chris? What do you say about me while I was gone?
You just went off air to go to the bathroom. Yeah,
It's
that's,
a
see what
spotlight.
see what I'm working. See what I'm working with here.
You know, it's funny. We used to do this. Remember when we did Keene No Spin back in the day? We used to do it live.
Yeah.
We had a few times we had to do that. You're sitting there, damn, I can't make it any longer. You know.
Well, I mean, for 10 years I did the radio.
Yeah. Radio's
No.
easier though.
No. For
You
3
get
hours.
commercial breaks.
For 3 hours, and you know, it was. There were times where it's like,
Oh no.
you know, like, all right, we're just work through it.
Well, you know, where it's tougher is especially at city council meetings. Yeah, interesting conversation to have, huh? You'll have one of these meetings that just goes on, especially public hearings.
See, I don't
and
have
then
a
it'll go
problem
on,
there.
and I'm
I
like,
don't have a problem there. I get up, I go.
you
If
just-
I,
yeah, you get up and go, but you hate to do
but
it
when you're
during.
live on the air,
Oh yeah.
it's even if you're not live on the air.
Well, I could. You know what I could have said? Time out, because we're taping.
Yeah.
Could have gone time out, but I wanted to show people how this is a live show and things happen on live shows. Yeah. You know, or either that or just wear a couple of Depends and just go,
Yeah. No.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, yeah.
I pretty much have nothing else to say because you just took every thought in my mind and.
I think next summer's coming, as you know, which means Swamp Bats is coming, and I think next week we might have Kevin Watterson on as a guest.
That would be great.
And go over about what's happening with Swamp Bats. They got some real good players signed. Now they just have to hope they don't get hurt like last year before the season starts.
Yeah.
Which wiped out last season.
Yeah.
But they get a lot of good players
So we just
signed.
need to we'll need to make sure that everybody they set up for 3 if he's coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll find out.
I mean, because I want to grill him. I mean, I think we could talk Swamp Bats for an hour easily.
Oh, that'll go by fast. That's
Yeah.
one of those things you can just sit back and.
Yeah.
And
Let him do the
I
talking.
had coffee with him the other morning, and we were going to meet for about 20
Did you
minutes.
get interrupted halfway through because you had to use the bathroom too?
I did.
Yeah, okay.
It was at Brewbaker's, and I had to go. I'll tell you, you got to be careful with coffee in the morning, you know. And
Someday, I mean, some people say it's actually healthy for you on some levels. Not a lot, but
Coffee?
some level of coffee is good for you.
yeah,
I don't drink coffee. Never
just-
really tasted it.
when I was in the Navy, I never drank coffee.
Does it taste like mud?
Yeah, pretty much. You know,
Does
yeah.
it have like a taste to it?
It
That's
runs
good?
right. It runs right through you too.
All right.
You know.
Well, thank
which
you.
I proved that.
Well, this is another finishing up another show of Spotlight Keene, and we'll see you next week.
Have a good week. Thanks.